Good morning, grade 11s and 12s. Today we're going to be doing debtors age analysis. I'm going to start by first explaining what it is. It falls under reconciliation. Now, what is debtors date? Debtors age analysis. As part of internal control, it is actually part of internal control, and it is necessary that the bookkeeper or accountant draws up an age analysis of their debtors and creditors on a regular basis, e.g. monthly, or it can actually be on a monthly basis. The purpose is to be able to determine at a glance whether the debtors are paying the accounts in the stipulated period or taking longer periods to pay. It is not about the age or how old the debtor is. It is about how long a debtor has been owing the business. I need you guys to highlight that. It is not about the age or how old the debtor is. It is about how long. The age is about how long has the debtor been owing us. It enables the business to determine the following. If the debtor qualifies for a discount, according to the business credit policy, if the debtor must be handed over due to non-payment, those are the ones that didn't honor their obligations within a specified period. So let's say the credit policy of a business is to ensure that they collect all their debts within 120 days or 90 days. If the debtor owes the business for more than 90 days, which is 3 months, they'll be handed over to attorneys so that attorneys can actually, let me just refer to them as collection agencies to collect that money on their behalf, on the behalf of the business, that is. To determine if the debtor needs to be charged a discount due to an overdue, well, in this case, it's supposed to say interest, okay? To determine if the debtor has to be charged interest due to an overdue account. Remember, if the debtor does not pay us on time, we have to charge them interest. That's why I said here it needs to be interest. We need to charge that debtor interest for any amount that is overdue. Now, it also helps us to determine if the debtor has exceeded the credit limit. And I will explain what a credit limit is shortly. If the debtor must still be allowed to buy on credit even if the credit limit is not exceeded. Please note that the company can stop a debtor from buying on credit even though the credit limit has not been exceeded. What is this credit limit? The credit limit is the maximum amount a debtor is allowed to buy for. If the credit limit is 25,000, the debtor may not be allowed to purchase goods exceeding the 25,000 rand value. Credit limit may be reviewed if the debtor pays for the amount owed timelessly and consistently. So it can either be increased or decreased, right? Can the business not allow a debtor to purchase on credit even if the credit limit is not exceeded? The answer to that is yes. If the debtor has not made payment within stipulated time period as per the current credit terms, they will not be allowed to buy more on credit even though they have not exceeded the credit limit. Now let us look at this debtors age analysis where we have debtor credit limit, present value, current, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and 120. So we've got A. Lamini, D. Fenduri, H. Mohammed, and B. Skosana. Now we're going to first work out the percentage. To work out the percentage for the first one, which is the present balance, you simply take the total of 80,500 to divide it by the total of 80,500, and that'll give you 100%. You multiply your answer by 100, it'll give you a percentage. For current, to get the percentage, you will simply take the 14,850, which is the total for the current, and you divide it by the total for the present balance, which is 80,500. Multiply that by 100, and then it'll give you 18%. 30 days is 12,300 divided by 80,500. You multiply that by 100. It'll give you a percentage for 30 days. And I will explain what the 30 days, 60 days current simply mean in the next slide. And then for the 60 days, our percentage will simply be 13%. For 90 days, it'll simply be 4%. And for 120 days, it'll simply be 50%. Now let's explain this age analysis. What is a credit limit? A credit limit is the maximum amount. So that is your second column. I'm simply explaining your second column. It's simply the maximum amount the debtor is allowed to buy for on credit. It is determined before debtor is granted. The debtor is granted credit. This may be adjusted up or down based on debtor's payments behavior. A debtor may not buy for more than the credit limit. If the debtor's debt exceeds the credit limit, it is the entity's fault, and this means the entity's internal control measures are not efficient if they do exist. So if they were efficient, they will make sure that a debtor cannot buy for more than the credit limit. So it's not the debtor's fault, it is the business's fault if the debtor managed to buy for more than the credit limit. What is this present balance? Present balance is simply the balance after the last transaction. That will be on the 31st of August, because here our month is August, with the debtor as determined in the debtor's ledger or debtor's list. Okay, remember all the balances here, we normally get them from the debtor's list, right? The total in the debtor's list must correspond with the balance in the debtor's control on the 31st of August, 2021. We discussed this in grade 10, if you do remember. Now, what is current? Current is simply the amount that the debtor purchased for in the current month. I repeat, current simply means the amount that the debtor purchased for in the current month. In case you are lost, let me just highlight to show you where we are. So I'm simply explaining this. I've explained the first two, so I've explained that, and I've also explained that in the previous slide. Now, this simply means it's what the debtor owes us for the month, what they purchased for actually in the current month, which is our August. So A. Lamini purchased items worth 4,000 rand in the month of August. H. Mohammed purchased 8,600. B. Kosana purchased 2,250 in total. Current month's purchases will amount to 30 to 14,850, which accounts for 18% of the total purchases. 30 days. The amount that the debtor still owes for goods purchased last month, which is July. So it were purchased last month, 30 days ago, which is last month, July. Remember, we are in August, so July will be the previous month. 60 days is the amount that the debtor still owes for goods purchased 2 months ago, which is in June, and 90 days is the amount that the debtor purchase still owes for goods purchased 90 days ago, which is 3 months ago, and that will be May. 120 will simply be the amount that the debtor still owes for goods purchased 4 months ago earlier. It could be April, it could have been Feb, it could have been March. So any amounts that they owed before, 4 months ago or earlier. Let's comment on debtors' age analysis. It is essential to know what credit terms debtors are allowed to buy. Very good. Note that the name of the business we're dealing with here is Very Good Limited. Prior to making any comments, generally most businesses allowed debtors to pay within 30 days. That is from the invoice date. That is according to grade 12 syllabus. We only look at the invoice date. We don't look at the receipt date. Here are the terms that are stipulated, and these are the credit terms of Very Good Limited. Discount statements will be sent to debtors at the end of each month. Debtors will be given 60 days from the statement date to settle their debts. Debtors settling within 30 days of invoice qualify for 6% discount. After 60 days, the debtor will be charged interest of 12% per annum. After 120 days, debtors will be handed over to their attorneys for collection. Okay. Now let us look at age limit. Age limit, credit limit is 20,000. The present balance is 15,000. So in that scenario, we could say the company made sure that age limit stays under the credit limit, which is good. But let's just analyze the values that we have here. In the current month, note that age limit has purchased goods worth 4,000. 30 days ago, he purchased goods worth 3,000, and 60 days ago, he purchased goods worth 8,000. All of those amounts, when you add them up, they will simply give you 15,000. So I'm simply showing you that this 15,000 is the sum of all those amounts, okay? Now he has a credit limit of 20,000. To date, has only bought for 15,000. He is not in arrears in any way because his debt for 8,000 is only 60 days old. He has 120 to settle his debt. He bought goods for 4,000 during the current month, 3,000 in the previous month, and bought for 8,000 2 months ago. If he settled his total debt at the end of August, he will qualify for 420 discount. Remember, you qualify for 420 discount according to these credit terms here. Note that you qualify for a discount of 60% if you pay within 30 days. And if you don't pay within 60 days, you will get charged interest. If you don't pay within 120 days, you will be handed over to collection agencies. That is the policy of Very Good Limited. All right. Now, when we calculate the discount, you simply take current month's purchases plus the purchases that I don't want to say purchases, the sales, credit sales we made to Lamini 30 days ago, which is 3,000. Add those two amounts and multiply the total by 6% to calculate the 420, which is the discount. If he does not pay 8,000 in the current month, he will be charged interest. Please note that the 8,000 is the amount that he purchased for 3 months ago, 60 days ago. If he doesn't pay that in the current month by the 31st of August, in essence, he will be charged interest. Because remember, the policy of the company is that if you don't pay within 60 days, you will get charged interest. So that 8,000 will attract interest of 12%. Definitely. Let us analyze that. She has a credit limit of 4,000. To date, has bought for 4,500, therefore exceeding her credit limit by 500. So in essence here, the company is not managing its debts well because you cannot allow a debtor to buy for more than the credit limit. So the internal control measures are not in place, or they're just not efficient, because that should have been prevented by the system. And the system should just not disallow any cashiers from selling to a customer on credit if that customer has exceeded the credit limit, obviously, unless they're offering that customer a higher credit limit. Okay, she is not in arrears because her debt of 500 is only 60 days. Also, you can tell that to be in arrears, you have to be owing for 120 days or earlier or more. Okay, so you should have bought 4 months or more before you can qualify to be in arrears. Now, in this case, you can tell that the inventory is not in arrears. She did not buy on credit during the current month. She bought for 4,000 in the previous month and bought for 500 2 months ago. If she settles her total debt at the end of August 2021, she will qualify for 240 discount. That is the 4,000 that results from a month for 30 days ago's purchases, which will simply be 4,000 times 6%. That will give you 240. If they don't pay, if she doesn't pay the 500 rand, that 500 rand will attract interest of 12%. So that amounts to 60 rand. So she needs to make sure that she pays that 500 rand, which is 60 days due in the current month. Otherwise, she'll be charged interest. Let's look at H. Mohammed. H. Mohammed has a credit limit of 50,000. Today has bought for 50,000. So he has reached his credit limit. We cannot allow him to buy more than 50,000. He is in areas because his debt of 40,000 is 120 days old. He has 120 days to settle his debt or be handed over. So if he doesn't settle it by the end of August, next month you're gonna hand him over. He bought for 8,600 during the current month. I mean, you can tell that this person is 120 days overdue and you still sell goods to them on credit, even though they have not reached the credit limit. That's where you can tell that there's something wrong with the company's internal controls. They needed to make sure that they do not allow this debtor to buy anything on credit, especially in the current month, considering that he still has an account or an amount that is 120 days overdue. And to analyze this, he bought for 8,600 during the current month, 3,000 in the previous month, bought for 600 2 months ago, 500 3 months ago, and 40,000 4 months ago. If he settles his total debt at the end of August, he'll qualify for 534 discount. You look at the debt that is less than 30 days, which is 300 plus 8,600. You add them and then you multiply them by 600. That will give you 534. If he does not pay 45,000 rand, which is the 5,000 rand that is 90 days old, and the 40,000 rand as well as the 600. I don't know how I actually wrote that as 5,000. It's supposed to have been 500. You multiply all of that by an interest rate of 12%. That will give you the interest that H. Mohammed will get charged. And that interest amount will be 4,932, which is 500 plus 600 plus 40,000. And you multiply that by 12%. So if he does not pay that 41,100, he will be charged interest at 12%. He has reached his credit limit and may not be allowed to buy on credit unless he pays the amount due. Now, when we look at B's Kosana, she has a credit limit of 12,000. To date, has bought for 11,000 and her credit limit is 12,000. So she hasn't reached her credit limit yet. She is in areas because her debt of 250 is 120 days old. She has 120 to settle. 120 days to settle his debt. She actually did buy on credit during the current month. She bought for 2,250 in the previous month. She bought for 5,000 and 60 days ago she bought for 1,000 and 90 days ago she bought for 2,500 and 120 days ago she bought for 250. Now, if she settles her debt at the end of August, she will qualify for 432 discount, which is simply the 2,250 plus 5,000. You add them up and you multiply them by 6%. If she does not pay that 1,000 plus 2,200 plus 250, if she does not pay those in the current month, it simply means that she will actually get charged interest, and that interest will be at 12%. So as I've said, they'll be charged interest at 12%, and that interest will be on 3,750 as I've explained, and the interest amount will be 450. So you will simply take 1,000 plus 2,500 plus the 250. Please note that it's subjective on that 1,000 rand. If she does not pay in the current month, that's the only time they get charged, but most definitely will get charged interest on the 2,500 plus the 250. general comment is that the debtors accounts are not correctly administered because 50% of the total outstanding debt is overdue by more than 120 days. That is nearly half of the debtors book. So one debtor was allowed to buy over the credit limit. I did specify who that debtor is. It was, if I'm not mistaken, let me just check quickly. It was DEFINITIONS. 4% of debts will be overdue. And if not settled by the end of August, they will simply be overdue, and the overdue amount will amount to 54% at the end of August. Okay, Very Good Limited continues to sell goods on credit to debtors that are still not making any payments of the previous debts. Now let us look at this here. This is your classwork. Please do it. Let's look at payments by debtors. When a debtor makes a payment, it will be distributed by reducing the oldest debt first. For example, let's look at this debtor, which is Bisco Sana. If Bisco Sana was to pay us 10,000 Rand, so the first amount will be distributed to 250, which is the oldest debt. So we're going to take that 10,000 Rand and distribute it to 250. So 120 days, it means that Bisco Sana will not owe us anything that is 120 days old. For 90 days, it will be distributed to that as well, and that will be 0. And for 60 days, it will also be distributed, that will be 0. For 30 days, we need to actually be careful here. We need to make sure that the payments do not exceed 10,000. So for 30 days, she will owe nothing as well. For the current debt, let's see how much will be distributed to the current debt. We realize that she still owes us 1,000 Rand for the current debt. So meaning that for the current debt, we're going to distribute 1,250 of the 10,000, which makes up the total 10,000. Please note that the payment was distributed to the oldest debt first before we distribute it to the current debt. The 1,000 still owing is for current month's purchase. Now let us look at this example here. I just want to bring a couple of things to your attention. This 2,500, please note that that is a debt that was carried over from the previous month being May, because this statement is for June. So we can say that 2,500 is how many days old? It's May, June, July, August, because the last statement is for August. So our current month is actually August when you look at this. So you can say that that 2,500 is more than 90 days old. And that was taken 90 days ago will be 3,500 minus the 250 because those are returned plus 6,000. That is the debt that was taken when? It was taken 90 days ago. 60 days ago, the debt that was taken was only 5,000 minus 700. That was taken 30 days ago will simply be, well, in this case, it's actually not 30 days ago. In the current month, it'll simply be 3,000 minus 500 plus 4,000. Please note that 30 days ago, it'll be 5,000 minus 7,700. And 60 days ago, it'll simply be 3,500 minus 250 plus 6,000, making that 2,900 a debt that is 90 days old. 90 days will simply be May. In 90 days, please note that this debtor, which is H. Chirawi, was owing us 2,500. Remember, when we make the payments, our payments will always settle the oldest debt. First, let's analyze our payments. Now, here is the first payment here, which is 4,000. So before we can be used to settle this 3,500, this 4,000 must be distributed to that 2,500. Meaning that for the debt that we owed, that was owed 90 days ago, that H. Chirawi was owing 90 days ago will be 0 because that amount has been paid. Please note that 60 days ago, she bought for 3,500 and she returned goods worth 250, and then she bought again for 6,000. So her purchases for June were 9,250. But remember, she paid 4,000. So that 4,000 was distributed to 2,500 that she owed in May. So how much of that will be allocated to June? It'll simply be 1,500. The final amount that is allocated will be the one that goes with the discount. And the discount in this case will be distributed to the June amount which was owed. So in essence, H. Chirawi is now owing us 7,500 because we have simply minus the payments, but there were other payments that were made on top of that 4,000. So those payments must also be distributed to the month of June. Remember, the oldest debt always these payments, we are done with them. They've been distributed. We have the 5,000 that has not been distributed. So we're gonna first distribute the 5,000. Remember, at the moment, H. Chirawi is owing us 7,000. So that whole 5,000 will be distributed, and this whole 3,300 will be distributed because the final amount goes with the discount. So the whole amount will simply be distributed to the June credit sales, so or the amount that she was owing in June. So both of them will be distributed to the June amount, and hence H. Chirawi will be owing us 260 days back, meaning that no payments will be allocated to the July amount, the amount that was owed in July and the amount that was owed in August. However, please note that for the July purchases, we gave her 700 discount. Actually, it wasn't a discount, it was a return. She returned goods worth 700 in June. So that 700 will reduce the amount that she owes in June. So it'll simply be 5,000 minus 700. And for August, it'll simply be this 3,000, you minus the 500, and then you add the 4,000. Those are the amounts that she will be owing in the current month of August. But for 30 days ago, she will simply be owing 5,000 minus 700, and so the debt that is 30 days and old will simply be it'll simply be that amount. In the current period, please know that we had purchases of 3,000, you minus the return, and then you add the new purchases of 4,000, that will give us 6,500. That 6,500 is what she owes in the current month. So in total, the amount owing, that is the present balance. The present balance will be 200 plus 4,000 plus 6,000 plus 6,500. And that will give us 11,000. So that 11,000, it's simply the total balance that she was owing in the current month, which is that amount over there. Seems like I entered extra things here. I just want to check if everything is correct. Oh, this is one thing that I did not explain here. This is the payment that she made in the current month, which was 1,500. It goes with a discount. Hence, for the 60 days, she only owes 200. Here's the classwork. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.